it's tremendous, right? And looking at the fact that you have your own company, you have a full-time job, even Sharky too, it blows my mind because even me, for my marketing for SayChai, I can't be top level like that either. So one thing is I'm really humbled by you guys inviting me today, and I hope I can provide a lot of value to our members and motivate a lot of our members to speak up and take part of such a great initiative. So for TES, I joined close to a year ago. I think around this time when the pandemic began, when we had nothing better to do than just join random groups. But initially, my main goal back then in 2020, pre-pandemic, I had a marketing company, and I was actually looking for more clients because, as a new lockdown comes in, you lose a lot of clients because they don't have enough money to afford your services. So initially, I came in with the hope that, hey, I may, showcase my knowledge on marketing and help out other brands struggling to get traction during the pandemic. And from there, that's where it really built up. And then as time went on, I got a moderator. No, not moderator. I think it's a special badge that comes up on there once you comment enough. And it really got my ego up. So I said, hey, I gotta, provide more value to the group. And slowly, once SayChai came into the equation, that's where things really took off. Where Sharky tried my product, which I was really surprised that the admin he tried out such a small player's product on a Facebook group with 4.7 thousand people or more. So it blew my mind. And from there, I said, hey, I got to give back more to this community. And when Sharky approached me and said, hey, do you want to join this entrepreneur's spotlight? I couldn't turn it down because, if anything, this group is a place to be if you want to grow your business.
Definitely. You're in the right place at the right time.
We're all set up technically. So we are on Facebook. I can see myself. I look good. You guys also look good too, Nagin, Hamza, which is great. Sound quality is perfect. We're also live streaming on YouTube. So I'll share the link with you for YouTube so you can share that publicly, Hamza. And also on Clubhouse too. So we're good. Ready to start? Take it away.
So thank you so much for setting this up, Sharky. He's our tech guy and the founder of Toronto Entrepreneurs and Startups group on Facebook. We are here today with Hamza Aziz. He's the founder of SayChai Inc. And we've been chatting so far about his company and how he got to know about TS and how he joined. So stay tuned. We'll be talking a little bit more about his business and how what SayChai is and how it came to be what it is today. With that being said, before we go to Hamza, Sharky, is there anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I want to thank everyone for joining. We got a bunch of people on Facebook. Hello, Facebook people. So just kind of comment below, say hi, interact. So we're checking that out. So we'll ask Hamza those tough questions you guys are posting there. And he has to answer, or else we'll kick him out of the group for not telling us our secrets.
Oh no!
So thank you everyone for engaging there. As well as if you want to join us, so just type in ES1.ca, Entrepreneurs and Startups. So that's what ES1 stand for, number one. So ES1.ca/spotlight. It will take you to this page and it's register and come in and jump on stage and get your face seen and ask some questions here as well. And then if you want to, and our next Connect event, our major event is already up. So you go type in es1.ca/events, then it will take you to this page right here. So this is our main monthly event where you get to network. And that's the goal of this group is network, build your business, find mentors, find partners, find suppliers, connect with people that will help you move your business forward. from my experience, I started working with someone in the group here, and it has moved my business forward a lot. Without the person that I met through the TES group, I would not be able to move my business forward. So to grow your business is about finding the right people, and that's what this group is about. So you can there and get tickets, and make sure you sign up for early bird tickets, which is free. If you're not early bird, if you're a late bird, then you have to pay $11.62 for it. We don't want you to pay. So make sure to sign up, and that's pretty much it. I'm excited to hear Hamza's story.
Okay, so without further ado, Hamza, take it away. The stage is yours.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak on here to the group, and I hope I can bring a lot of value to the group by our interview and inspire a lot of our members to do the same and get their business out there. So SayChai is a brand I came up with about 2 years ago in university. One day I got tired of drinking hot chai, hot coffee, going to Tim Hortons for their bland iced coffee. It gets to a man's mind, you want good quality products and you can't find it anywhere. So out of frustration, I made chai one day at home for my parents, and then I said, hey, what if I put this in the fridge for the night? I put it in the fridge. The next morning I woke up and tried it out. It tasted amazing. The following day I went to university, and I showed it to a couple of friends. They loved it, and they said, wow, this tastes amazing. But the thing was, back then, I didn't have that entrepreneurial mind. I said, okay, we'll work on this. We got all the details ready, and then midterms came up, and then we said, oh, I think I need to focus more on my economics degree so I know the supply chain, whatever, and actually be successful in life, right? So that is that. Later on, as time went on, we came up with a marketing company, did pretty good in it, but the pandemic threw it away, right? Because our inability to pivot. And finally, when I was scurrying through my notebooks to find a new purpose in life, I came across the idea of SayChai again. And from there, I said, oh, this may be a good idea. Got the same friends together. We formulated a recipe. They tried it out. They loved it. I gave it to a couple of neighbors as well too. They loved the recipe as well too. And from there I said, hey, I need to get this out to the market as soon as possible. And we all agreed the best formulation we came up with was French vanilla, caramel, and simply milk tea. And from there, it was a upward climb on the mountain to figure out what needs to happen, to get the legalities out the way, to figure out the supply chain and figure out the market, which luckily I didn't fall off the mountain, because I guess we're here talking right now. So
yeah, that's a great story. And I just want to say that Hamza's story is one of the most popular story here in our Facebook group. And the reason I believe is that we're all going through the same journey. We're all, as entrepreneurs, we're all figuring things out and getting knocked down by obstacles. And a lot of people inspire. A lot of people who have not started their company yet don't know what to face. So I think a story from yours it's going to be great, very helpful. And I think it's relatable to everyone. And we'd love to dig deeper and learn kind of the lessons and journeys that you went through.
Absolutely.
100%. So can you tell us a little bit about what's the first step that you took into kind of prepping yourself for this kind of product? And the first step that you took when you knew you wanted to put this out there for the public?
Well, the first step was having the vision, right? Because if you don't have a vision, you're not going to walk towards the vision. You're not going to know where you need to go and be in the future. So initially, when in August, late August, I was looking around, thinking about what I can start to and introduce to the market. And after when I saw this idea, which I came up with 2 years ago, the first question that came to mind is, how feasible is this in my current situation? And what efforts will be required from my end to make it feasible if it's not feasible at the moment? So the first line of thinking was, is there a place in the market for this product? So like any person, I went over to handy dandy Google, searched up milk tea, and the funny thing was, the only thing I came across was all these chai, bubble tea type places in Toronto, like Chai Time or all these Gong Cha, whatever you call them places. And then it sparked my curiosity. Why isn't there a beverage, a bottled beverage like Starbucks or Tim Hortons selling at convenience stores? Right? Oh, what's the idea? What's the reason behind it? Right? Why are people going over to let's say Chai Time for overpriced chai with balls in it, right? And half the time it doesn't come out the way you want it to come out, right? Because I'll tell you one thing, like I told you about Tim Hortons and other places, you walk in there with such high, expectations, but when you walk out and take a sip, you're like, did I really spend $6 on this product, right? So the first line of thinking was, is this a valuable item for the market? Then I jumped onto Reddit because Reddit is a good place to see what people are talking about, right? It has a great community of people who are asking questions or need advice. And a lot of the questions I did come across were that why isn't there a beverage like SayChai right now being sold at convenience stores at easy to access retail locations? And a lot of people were saying, I've been to Japan, I've been to not North Korea, South Korea, China, and all these different places. And it's so easy to access. And we wish the same was the same for the North American market or European market. And I said, okay, number one thing is we have the idea, I have the vision. I want to make a beverage company which can take off and sold at every other convenience store location at an easy to access point and at an affordable rate, right? And something which tastes good, has the quality, right? Because one thing is for sure, I can ensure the quality for all my products leaving my production facility compared to me franchising Tim Hortons type location where one employee will walk in and be like, I don't want to be at work today. They're not going to put in the effort that is required, right? So from that aspect, I realized there was a big market here. And if I were to launch a product, I could potentially get a big ROI on my product. So after knowing that there's a market for this, the second part was making a concrete plan and formulating a recipe to present to the market, right? So the first route I chose was making a recipe for my...
I have a question here.
Yes.
So were you not scared on all the big companies like Pepsi, like Coke, and even Starbucks? I seen the Starbucks drink, the bottle drink, similar to your bottle. It's actually crap, by the way, compared to SayChai, right? Weren't you intimidated that there are so much competition out there and so many more bigger players than you?
Well, yes and no. Yes, in the part being that, oh my God, I'm going to be competing with such big people, right? Because that's what you find in convenience stores. But no at the same time, because a big place like Starbucks wouldn't really care about a new person coming into the market unless my product really did push big volume and made the general consumer to change their buying habits, right? So if that were to happen, then at that point, Starbucks or any other big player would ask themselves, okay, we need this guy's coming in. Is this in the reasonable area for us to compete with this guy? And more likely not, from experience and what I've read online from different brands and their experiences, the first approach they'll take is to save a lot of money. They'll give me a call and say, hey, can I buy your company or ... right? And if not, then they would maybe invest a lot of money. At that point, it'll be like a thing, okay, what's the opportunity cost for me starting up my own line of chai compared to me just focusing on what I'm good at, right? And at that point, it doesn't matter then, in my opinion, because if you're able to change consumer behavior, I think you won the market, and it's up to you to continue that legacy, or you give it over to someone else who you believe can take it further. So from that perspective, no, it is a risky business. I invested a lot of money in this. Is it worth it? Yes, it is, because the more risk that you take, the bigger the yield it could bring for yourself, right? So that was my line of thinking. Is it scary? Yes, it is scary, right? But the thing is, going to school is scary too. You're not guaranteed a job right after you get your degree. It's like saying, "Oh, I spent 100,000 to be a doctor. Will I be a doctor or a surgeon?" No, not really. You gotta, prove to the market that you're worth it. Right?
So in terms of availability of this product right now, where are you distributing it? Is it just limited to Toronto area? Is it province-wide? Do you plan on distributing countrywide, or what's the plan for that?
Well, in my opinion, to have any successful product, you have to add the bigger prize, right? Such as, I'm not going to limit myself to just selling to Toronto. My goal would be to sell across Canada where the product is viable, right? Or even throughout North America. But the thing is, we got to look at the logistics behind every business, right? And what issues are being faced right now, right? Because frankly, I can't really sell to many retailers at the moment because my shelf life for the product isn't to the level which they would require, which is half a year to a year, right? Which Starbucks offers, or Tim Hortons. Their shelf life on average is 9 months, right? If you go to the store and pick up a Starbucks product, most likely it's going to expire in 2022, right? So from that perspective, it's going to take some time to penetrate the market, and that's where all the R&D and development is required at the moment, right? So having the goal that, hey, I want to sell across Canada or North America has to be there for you to achieve that goal, right? And if you're not going to look at the bigger prize, then how are you going to work hard to, bring your brand up to the level of a bigger competitor, right?
Sharky, do you have any questions for Hamza?
Yeah, so you were talking about the steps that you went to take. So after you decided to start, just walk us through your discovery. Like, how long did it take you, and what were the steps you did in between, and what are the kind of the obstacles, the challenges, or surprises that you've seen as you went along?
I'll be honest with you. My recipe was formulated within 2 days, right? That me and my friend who was helping me out at the time, we were jumping at it. He came over in the morning time. We were making a recipe. By nighttime, he was gone. The second day was, oh my God, I forgot what the recipe was because I didn't write anything down on paper, silly me, right? So the second day we had to get back at it, and then that time I put it up onto a Word document for the recipe in particular. And that was basically it for that. Priority number 2 was figuring out the steps it would take to get to that point. So for me, I just went onto Google, searched up what other people are talking about blogs or whatnot, and what other people recommend. And then another thing I did is go on to YouTube, searched up Coke production, watched how they produce Cokes, right? And then from there, I was like, okay, I think number 1 priority is we need a bottle to keep our milk tea in, right? Number 2, where am I getting the cap from? Number 3, the labels. And number 4 would be, I guess, having the machinery, equipment, where's the money coming from, and ... So around the first 2 weeks, I figured out what steps I would need to take to achieve the production I want to, right? After figuring out the recipe and figuring out the market. And then I came up with a strategic plan, right? I said, number 1 thing is that I need to figure out where my bottles are coming from and my caps, right? Because I'll find milk anywhere. I can find sugar anywhere in the world, right? I can find my flavoring or whatnot anywhere in the world. But the number 1 thing is who's going to give me my bottles? Am I bringing in from China, or am I finding a manufacturer in Canada? Right? Each of them have their own opportunity cost, right? And then number 2 was, okay, if I have the bottles here, then how am I going to make my business into a profitable business? I'll need machinery and different types of, production methods. So that step really required me to dig deeper onto what other bigger brands do and what I would require to do, right? And within 3 weeks, I would say, I gave a bunch of suppliers a call who would be supplying my bottles or whatnot. And
Did you have
there,
a expectation before you start doing all these research of how much it would cost or how much work?
No, not really. Not
Okay,
really.
so you jumped in the deep end.
I just jumped in. I said, you know what? If I waste 1 minute, I'm going to lose out on whatever. So I just jumped in. And then from there, you know what? Would I recommend this to anyone else? No, it was really frustrating because you jump in, you give them a call, and then you get such unreasonable prices, and I guess a salesperson not taking you serious when you inquire about a certain product, and it just frustrates you. So after like the fourth call and dealing with the fifth company, I realized that okay, I need to maybe approach it in a different way. But that was figured out within a day, right? After getting so pissed off, I it's a matter, it's like if you want to get something done, right? Stop thinking about it, just jump in, right? The minute you jump in, you're going to come across 50 issues, and once you figure out what the cause of the issue is, you'll have a solution right there. And then right when I found the solution, I narrowed my search down to one company who supplies bottles. And the great thing for this company is they make their bottles in Montreal, Canada. I'm a pretty patriotic Canadian, so one of my priorities for this business was that I want to source all my materials, minus, I guess the tea from Canada. And my bottles are coming in from a supplier in Canada, in Montreal. They make it fresh in Montreal. And then my labels, I found a labeling company. I hit up like around 30 labeling companies, and then finally found one who gave me a good price too. And from there, it was all a matter of, figuring out the design, right? Designing something, getting a sample in, putting the bottle together, and ensuring that the quality is there to what I want. And let me tell you one thing, Sharky and Nagan. I have found a system on how to vet suppliers as well too, right? Because let me tell you, that first couple of weeks of finding suppliers really pissed me off, right? Every night I'll just go to bed really pissed off. I could feel the heart racing in me. I'd be like, well, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong here? And one thing I realized is that if the supplier has terrible customer support, that's a big no for me, right? And a lot of suppliers do have bad customer support, right? It's like if you have a deadline of getting bottles in here, or you need some support, you want the person that's open to helping you, not the person that's saying, maybe you can try this, but you'll have to spend $50 more on that, or ... whatever the situation might be. And then ever since I chose to vet suppliers on their willingness to help, right, and their customer service, everything's been so much more easier, because the minute someone says something I don't like, I'll say, are you sure you want to give me that answer? I don't like this answer. I need support. I don't know what I'm doing here. Please guide me on this matter. No, you're not going to guide me. Okay, I'm moving on to the next company. And right when I started doing that, that's how I increased the process to get everything done so quickly.
Exactly. When you're sourcing for suppliers, and for me, this is coming from an interior design background, so it's a little bit different, but a lot of overlaps here that I'm seeing. So when we're sourcing for a particular supplier that's relatively new to the market, we call them up and we ask a lot of questions, and basically it becomes an interview over the phone. And we ask them what their turnaround is, where they're getting their supplies from. Like, we care about how local they are, especially during this time, and obviously pricing as well. And then I agree with you. Customer service is a huge aspect of it, because at the end of the day, you want to work with people who support you in the best way possible, and they don't leave you stranded when something's not going right. Because everybody, when things are right and everything is going well, obviously those are the happy times. We don't necessarily mind minor hiccups here, like every now and then. But when you come to a certain problem and you need people to kind of come up with solutions or help you come up with solutions and not necessarily just point to the problem, I think that's when good suppliers will show themselves. So it takes a bit of time to understand who you're dealing with and know the difference between the two. But I agree with you. Customer service is absolutely a big one for me too.
Absolutely. I'm surprised at how many companies miss the mark on customer service, right? Because it's like, it just astounds me, to be honest, right? It's like customer service is what every business is built upon. Amazon, became one of the most successful and biggest companies out there because of their focus on customer experience and service, right? And that's what I've been focusing my brand SayChai on too, right? Meaning a lot of people talk about, how they want same day delivery. And I'm pretty sure Sharky was surprised within 3 hours, his product got delivered to his address, right? And then I was surprised. I didn't think anything about it, right? For me, it's like if I order something, I want it to be here to my door within an hour or two because I bought it, right? I expect it to be here, right? And I was just following what I want to be treated like if I'm ordering from another brand that does something similar to what I do, right? So whenever I get an order, if the supply's here, I'll just pick up a bottle and be like, okay, time to go, even if it's not worth it. And then a lot of people have been commenting about this practice that, oh my God, Amazon could learn something from you, and a lot of people have been surprised. They're like, I know this isn't valuable for you to be coming all this way to deliver 1 or 2 bottles. So customer service can go a long way, and because of that type of customer service, a lot of people are rebuying the bottle every other day or every other week, which is surprising.
So you're getting repeat customers, because of delivery times. That's great.
Yeah.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So how? Yeah, I was definitely surprised. I order. I say, okay, well, this is a new startup. It's going to take maybe a few days, a week. UPS or Canada Post will come half broken, and boom, like doorbell. And there was like,
Sharky, can you tell us where we can purchase the product? Because I'm intrigued. I want to give it a try.
yeah. So let me pull up the site. So saychai.ca. Yeah, and so how much testing did you do when you had how many testing did you do like when you came out with your formula?
Well, I did. Okay, so the initial testing I did was I just gave it to a couple of friends to try it out, and then once they said, "Oh, this tastes amazing," I said, "Okay." The best thing is I can formulate everything, and then once I launch, I'll have a better understanding of what the market is saying about the product, right? And that's the approach I took, right? After having an understanding of what people want, I put it into a bottle, got the legal testing done by a scientist to figure out the microbiology of the product and right? And once I got the certification from that scientist that I'm able to sell this product safely to the market, I launched in December. And then initially, when I launched, right, I had about 44 grams of sugar in my product at the time, right? Because I initially got all my friends to taste test, and we're all young people, right? So we love sugary drinks. And then one main comment I got from majority of my customers were, we love the product, but it's overpowering on the sugar aspect. And then from there, okay, I said I'll slash the sugar by, let's say, I think 11% or 20%, and now it's at 33 grams. So I have a 50-50 review on it. Some people say it's a bit too much sugar. Some people say it's the right amount of sugar, don't cut it at all. So based on this feedback, I said, okay, I'll cater to the 50% of the market right now, which loves the market, which loves the product, because I don't want to be on two boats at the same time, because I'll just fall into the water, right?
That's a good approach.
Yeah. So right now I'm catering over to that market, which likes, kind of sugary drinks. And then hopefully once we have more capital coming in, more revenue coming in, I plan on introducing a lower sugar variant or zero sugar variant. Because even Sharky was saying, hey, maybe you should release a zero sugar variant because it'll really appeal to the demographic, which is on a sugar diet. Something I just learned about a couple of weeks ago from people in this group saying, oh, I'm on a sugar diet. I can't buy right now.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm also not a big fan of sugary things. I've had to go on a diet for health reasons, obviously, because I love chocolates. I love like sweet things, but obviously I had to cut back. So I see a trend with people who are more, I guess, pro-health or pro-healthy eating. And so it certainly is something to consider for your product. I see a few people joining us on Clubhouse, and I want to give them a chance to join us on this call if they're able to. So if you're on Clubhouse and listening to us, the link to join the call directly is es1.ca/spotlight. That's es1.ca/spotlight. So that being said, this group is called the Toronto Entrepreneurs and Startups group on Facebook. You're welcome to join us there as well. We have weekly sessions every Wednesday, 6 o'clock Eastern time, and we'd love to have you join us. Okay, Hamza, we have Sharky back here with us. Sharky, do you have any follow-up questions? Are all your questions answered so far? How do you feel?
I got a million questions, so they can never be answered. But tell us more about your journey and other obstacles that you've seen.
Absolutely. Man, there are many obstacles in starting a business. Now that I think about it, I might as well have been better in finishing my degree and then getting a 9-to-5 job, right? It's crazy, right? When you look at...
Probably wouldn't have been as fun, though.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been as fun, And you know what? The thing is, one thing I realized about being an entrepreneur is that your education never stops, right? It's a given, right? It's like you got to keep learning constantly. And that's a crazy thing to wrap my mind around, because initially I was studying economics, and then now I'm becoming a scientist, looking at the microbiology of my product to ensure that the shelf life is good. It's crazy, but it's very challenging depending on what you're doing, right? Because one thing is, in particular, to starting up a food company, which requires a long shelf life, you're dealing with the health and safety of what people are consuming, right? Because the minute I mess up on my end with the development of the product, or strategic development on how to keep my facility clean and how to ensure quality products are going out every day, then a lot of people can get sick because of one small issue, right? Where it's like, if you have a retail location, like let's say Tim Hortons, you can mess up once or twice on the cleanliness aspect. One or two people will be affected by it, right, when they come over and buy the product. But for me, if I have 1,000 bottles and even one bottle is contaminated, it'll mess up my 1,000 bottles which I'm making at the same time, right? Because I don't know about this before, but once you have a pathogen in the air that goes from one area to the other, it spreads like coronavirus, First one bottle is infected, then two, then hundreds of bottles are infected, you can call it, if it's a good analogy to make here. So the most challenging part for me for this whole experience was, getting the microbiological aspect of the product on par with what I want SayChai to do, right? Initially, I was told my initial preservative that I was adding, which is CMC. I can't remember the molecular name of it. It was carbo something hyperoxy, a natural.
Sounds about right to me.
Yeah, a natural preservative from Africa, from a tree bark. from my understanding.
Wow. Okay.
I was told initially that that is a preservative, and in our initial trials with the product, it lasted 2 months, right, in the fridge, right? I got my hopes up and then started releasing the product as soon as possible to different retail locations. I was about to write an application to Walmart and then Circle K and all these different places. And then only a month later, at a local store, did I find out after a month and a half, the product started going bad there at their location, which was a big upsetting, uh, thing that happened right back in February, right? And then after doing some research about it, I went back to the scientist. I said, "Hey, can you look at what went wrong in this bottle? Right? Tell me what happened with it." And then I assumed because of liability purposes, he said, "Nope, you're on your own now. I can't do anything about this anymore." So ever since then, I was in a scurry to figure out everything, and I had to put a whole pause on this retail side of business, where I've only been focusing on one or two businesses who are really small and across the road from me, because it was a big bombshell news. It could have been like I could have been having an order. Actually, that week I got a 3,000 bottle order from a gas station for 4 of their locations to sell it at, and it was terrible news to have to halt that whole sale. And from there, it's challenging because you don't know this side of business. The scientist that you entrusted and paid so much money to has backed away. What do you do at that point, right?
So why did he back away? Wasn't that his responsibility or accountability?
I would say it was because of liability, because if he approved something and it went out to market and someone got sick because of it and decided to sue me, then I would assume, or from my understanding, I would have some type of legal ground to take action against him because he had the authority to approve such a product to go into market, or told me that the shelf life would be something that it isn't,
But isn't that what you pay him for?
Yeah, it was just a bombshell news, right? It was like, okay, it was like I can't, stop my whole business because of one person, right?
Right.
So my next step was that, okay, we have an issue here. I have to get this product out, and that's where I'm pretty sure you guys saw a post by me in the group the other day. Is there any food scientist in our group that can possibly help me with the shelf life issue? I put it up on a couple other groups, and man, the support I've received from a lot of people has been pretty great, because they told me that, hey, number one thing is your preservative that you're using is a water thickening agent, which I was like, what? I thought it was a preservative for this whole time, right? And they guided me over to some preservatives which are good for milk-based beverages. And then they also shine some light over to different processes which I can, utilize to ensure that if the preservative doesn't work, then the product still has the same shelf life, right? So based on that information, it was a big challenge, figuring out a way around this whole issue. But you know what? The second issue is the mental issue, right? The first issue is, okay, there's a big issue that came up. It's like, okay, we found a basic solution. We're going to overcome this, do some testing. But then the mental aspect comes in, where it's like, wow, I spent about 2 months in, going back with the scientist, constantly updating my processes, my manufacturing processes, sterilization processes, figuring out what the shelf life would be in the fridge, if we put it in the fridge for this long, and figuring out so much stuff. And it's like, do I really want to repeat that whole process just for the risk that, everything will come crashing down again, right? It is a pretty tough process to figure out, but it's a part of the business world, right? If you don't face any issues while going up the mountain, then there's a big issue, right? I'll tell you one thing. When a lot of people were telling me the product tastes amazing, that was a big question mark. I said, why aren't people telling me that this product is terrible, right? Because if you don't get that slap across the face, and how are you to build a brand which is going to be great? And let me tell you, because of this whole shelf life issue, my initial goal was 2 month shelf life. But now, after doing much more research and taking more initiative into my hand and not relying on the scientist that could have been helping me, I figured out a alternative for a year's shelf life without having a preservative in the product itself, which is way better than having a preservative, right? It's much more health conscious, and we can market the product as more organic, right? So there's a positive to every situation that you face, because if I kept at it and kept using the CMC, my shelf life would have been at 2 months for, who knows how long. You know what I mean, right?
Mhm.
So it's a sour blessing by God that this situation took place, right? Now the only part is that, okay, we got to put in the effort again and ensure that nothing goes wrong this time, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, part of it is effort, but also in terms of costs. How much of the product did you have to take back?
Mhm.
Was it just the one store, or did you have to recall a lot of products just because you were being cautious, maybe?
Yeah. So what ended up happening is I recalled the products. I was only selling at 3 stores at the moment. So uh, I just went over to the stores, bought the products where the product didn't go bad, and tried it out. I said, okay, it's fine. And I just kept a sample in the fridge, and then I kept it there until they didn't sell out, right? Or until my product didn't go bad. Because from one perspective, from a marketing perspective, I'm not going to go up to people when there's no issue in the product and tell them, "Hey, there's an issue in the product. Let me pull
That's
this out,"
clever.
right?
I
Right?
think you handled that gracefully.
Yeah. I was like, it's negative PR. If a hint does get out that the product went bad, this was 2 months ago, right? Then how am I gonna rebound from that, right? How am I gonna approach the same seller and be like, "Hey, the product's fine now, but you want to buy this now or whatnot?" But yeah, now any store, I just kept the same store so far, right? Which I was
Did the
selling at.
taste change once you changed the once you remove the preservative and add other ingredient?
Say that question again. I think you.
Did the taste change? Does
Uh,
flavor change?
well, with the new ingredients, the taste is pretty much the same, but without the preservative, the product isn't going to be as thick as it is right now. Right? Right now, there's a kind of viscous, feel to it. Without that, it'll be much more of a smoother texture of the milk just coming into your mouth. Because, like I told you, the initial preservative, or what I thought was a preservative, was actually a water thickener, and because that water thickening agent, it wasn't the best result which I wanted. I actually sent out the product to a couple of people and asked them, "Hey, I added this preservative, but tell me, is the taste pretty much the same, right, compared to what it was before?" A lot of people said that it's good, right? But we'd prefer it with the original recipe that you came up with. So I think without the preservative that we may roll out in the coming month, it'll be a much better feel, in your mouth and how it tastes, right? So
Have you had to get any approvals from the food industry? And who did you go through?
well, there's something called the Canadian CFO. Okay, the term just left my mind. It's okay. What it basically is that if you want to sell intra-provincially from province to province, from Ontario to Quebec or Alberta or wherever in Canada you will, or if you want to sell anywhere across the world, you need to get a special certification, which I can't remember off the top of my head. It's called CFA, I believe. Uh,
Is it CFIA, maybe?
CFI, I believe so. I believe so.
Canadian Food Inspection
Yes,
Agency?
yes, that
Okay.
is correct. Yeah, so if I want to sell in Quebec or the States or the European Union or Asia or Africa, I'll have to get a certification from from them. And it's a pretty rigorous process because number one thing is you need to have a approved manufacturing plant. Once you have an approved manufacturing plant, you got to get a certification for what type of product and beverage you can deal with, right? And then once you get approval for making, I guess, the second thing would be that you need to get certification for what type of packaging you can put it into, right? And from there, it's a pretty rigorous process. But the lucky thing is, in Canada in particular, I'm not too sure about other provinces, but in Ontario in particular, or Canada as a whole, if you're only selling within the province, the process is much easier. All you need to do is get a certification that the product is safe to consume in Ontario. And then even the laws become even more laxed as well too. Because in Ontario in particular, there's a big difference between a home-based business and a commercial-based business, which means if you bake muffins at home and you still decide to sell it in the market, you're allowed to do that, right? Unless you get to a certain point where volume is exceeding the legal threshold, right? So.
But if you're making something at home and selling it, do you have to have like a specific spot for it and make sure it's sterile?
Yep.
Okay. So you had to dedicate like a specific area to it. Okay.
Absolutely. So right now I am in a small kitchen where I produce all my bottles. I've been doing that since day one. Kitchen with all the health certificates or whatnot.
We call them ghost kitchens.
Yeah, ghost kitchens. Yes, ghost kitchens.
Term.
So the only reason I brought up the other point is because I do know for a fact that there were a couple of people in this group that were thinking about starting up their own some type of a business where it revolves around eating something or consumables, you can call it, right? Mm-hmm. And the only reason I brought up that fine line in the law was because I'm not sure what their position is. And then, finding this information is really tough to find, right? I had to call the federal government first. 4 hours went away in my day. Finally figured out that the federal government doesn't care what I'm doing unless I'm doing it within Ontario, right? Which is amazing news. Then I contacted the Ontario provincial government, and then they said, we don't care what you sell. Talk to your local health inspection agency. Then I called York Region because I live right north of Toronto, near Canada's Wonderland. I gave the other place a call, our York Region Health place a call, and then they said, yeah, you need a health license to sell to sell your product, but do remember there's a fine line between what you can do at home and what you need a license for. So he said, if it's going to be a purely home-based business, you may not even need a license. But first things first, I don't care what you do. First, you got to talk to your city. Because the city, they're the ones that are in charge of this area. I gave the city a call, and they said, you know what? The only thing you need to tell us is what you're making and where you're making it. Because if there's a fire, God forbid, we want to prepare firefighters for to be prepared. And I said, okay, interesting. And then I found a ghost kitchen, and then they told me that, we have a certificate, health certificate, so you don't got to worry about nothing. You don't even have to worry about, the lax laws or the thin line between what a home-based business can be and what it can't be. And number two is, like, I don't think I can, safely make so many beverages for such a long shelf life from home, right? Because, your home isn't much of a sterile environment, It's like, you'll walk into your kitchen sometimes in the middle of the night, touching everywhere.
Right. Okay. Well,
I think the most important thing we don't have much time left, only about 10 more minutes. I think the most important thing that I'm curious about is about getting your product into stores. How big was that? A big challenge for you, and what was your thinking and your strategy in doing that?
I'll tell you. Simply, I searched it up online and figured out what retail places look for when you release a new product to them. And many are open to it, right? If the product sells, they're going to sell it. If the product doesn't sell, they'll give it one more shot before they say, take this out of our store. So I just picked up the phone, gave calls to different places, and I said, hey, my name is Hamza. I'm calling from SayChai. Can I sell what's the process to get my beverage into your store? I'll be like, what's the beverage? I'll say, it's milk tea. They'll be like, milk tea? Milk what? I'll be like, milk tea. Tea that has milk in it. and then from there, they'll be like, okay, I've never heard of such a product. We'll give it a shot.
Sorry, have you thought about calling the bubble tea like chai bubble tea as part of the pitch?
Yeah, I have, but then I realized that it'll be much more harder to put bubbles in a bottle because the shelf life for tapioca in particular is 8 hours right before it starts going bad. So I'm not
just
sure
calling it like that. Like I have bubble tea all the time. I don't have tapioca. I'm not sure if that's officially
stated. I have a suggestion. Sometimes when this is another Starbucks example. I feel like we're advertising them here. We're not. But they have this, different product. It's a yogurt, and you must have seen it. It's a yogurt, and then they have the granola and I think some dried fruits in a cap at the top. What if you were to put tapioca like in a cap at the top of the bottle? Like that's or something that would, I don't know, stick to the bottle, and then you can rip it off and open the bag and pour it into the tea. That could be a solution, right?
Actually, someone actually recommended that I sell raw tapioca on the side of each bottle, right? So if someone wants tapioca in the beverage, sell it raw, and they can make it at home. So I'm not sure if I'm not sure what to do about it. I haven't really researched about it much, but since we are live right now, you guys can comment what you guys think, right? Let me know. Would you like to see raw tapioca sold on the side of SayChai? And if that's the case, then I don't think I can say no to it. Can I now?
And so how was the feedback from the actual product itself once you got into the stores?
It was phenomenal. One store gave me a call a week later. I gave them 36 bottles. They said, hey, Hamza, let me tell you some good news. Oh, no, they didn't even say that. So they said, Hamza, let us tell you some news. And my heart dropped there because I thought something went bad or wrong or horribly wrong with the product. And I said, okay, go on. What is it? They said, we sold 15 bottles already over the weekend. And then I said, no, you're kidding me. He said, you don't believe me? Come over to the store right now and check it out. I walked over, and there are about 4 flavors left of each flavor, or 5 or 6, whatever it is. I can't remember, but 6 flavors left of each bottle. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy, right? I didn't expect it, right? Back then I was a relatively not well-known company. And then apparently a lot of people, when they walked in, they just picked up the bottle. And they asked me for another order of 36 bottles. And by the time I delivered it to them, they're sold out of the product. So the feedback's been amazing.
What made it, why was it successful at that location, that particular location? Or what makes it successful? Have you figured out the formula yet?
Yeah, one thing is, marketing is really important, right? First things first, make the brand follow you, and you should follow the brand, right? Whenever I make a new post for SayChai or run a new advertisement, okay, I'll keep my corporate and personal posts separate. So I'm never going to be interfering with my corporate post, but my corporate post will always be interfering with mine, right? So if a new advertisement goes up on Instagram for SayChai, then I'll put it up on my end too. And the funny thing is, a lot of people are friending me now, and they're following my story on Instagram as well too, because you've seen it too, Sharky. I'm always posting about it, talking about it, making deliveries and whatnot. And people, I guess, are resonating with with the story, the ethos the brand gives, or whatnot. And I assume that it works hand in hand with the paid advertisements and the organic means of what I'm looking at, right? And one more thing is, one thing I was surprised about is in my community, in particular, my neighborhood, a lot of people are talking about me as well too, right? The other day I was meeting with my friend, and he said, "Hamza, you're a popular person now." And I said, "Oh, how am I popular?" They said, "Everywhere where I go, they're always talking about you now." And I said, "Okay, I guess I'm doing something right then," you know. So that's one thing. 106 followers. Which is pretty good. I hope to increase in the near future. But a lot of people are just looking at the page too and making orders from there too for delivery, which is pretty. It's a blessing, you know. I still haven't pinpointed it, you know. I'm in shock myself, you know.
So tell us more about the calls. Like, how many stores you have to call? How hard was it to get? Was it really easy? Sounds like it was easy. You call the store and they say, "Hey, come in and let's sell your product." Was it really that easy? Or
It was really it was. I just had to give them a call and say, "Hey, can I sell my product here?" Number one thing is they said, "What's the shelf life?" At the time, I said it's 2 months. They said, "Okay, it's kind of low on our end, but we'll take a risk with it." And then the other companies I did give a call. They said, "Hey, Hamza, we want to sell your product here. We think it's going to do amazing, but it's because of the pandemic we can't do it. Come back around May, and then you'll be able to, do something great, you know." So,
what was the selling point though? Do they get calls a lot? What was convincing them? What was convincing them? Do you believe? What did they like?
You know what? I just gave them a call and they just accepted my pitch and they took the product. It blew my mind. Literally, it did. You know,
Okay.
it was like I was expecting more of resistance around the product. When I gave them a call, they would have been saying, "Why should I sell your product?" and dot dot dot.
Yeah.
And then once I gave them, okay, I think the main thing is that it's like initially when you give the product to a retailer, they're willing to take the risk if you guarantee them you'll give them a refund if the product doesn't sell, right? I think that's what the main, the picking point for a lot of retailers, where it's like if they don't sell the product, I'll just go there and issue them a store credit for their next purchase. I think that's basically it. It's phenomenal. It's crazy. I didn't expect it to be this easy to get into stores, to be honest. I thought it'd be hard, like this movie show.
Yeah, so Imperfect. So that's my friend May. We should have got her in the show to get her feedback and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was talking to her, and she always likes to try new things. As a store owner, I guess you have to try new things. And maybe your Canadian story, something that's local. I mean, that's why I kind of picked it up. It's like, wow, it's an interesting story. There's a story behind it. Nowadays, everything is sold with a story. The story is actually more valuable than the actual product itself nowadays, for sure.
Yeah, and that's why I try to, showcase the. I'm not sure if it's working or not, but on social media in particular, I try to showcase the story and good brand culture for what SayChai wants to be, right? Such as showing some funny touches here and there. I want to put up more Avatar, Uncle Iroh, memes.
Do you do content yourself?
Yeah. I've put up this content myself.
Do you make content, the designs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything is 100% done by me for social media. Nice. This guy in particular, the guy that you just hovered over, I was making a delivery in downtown, and I saw these guys chilling. I said, "Yo, can I take a picture of you?" And then he was creeped out initially. He was like, "Why do you want to take a picture of me?" I said, I pulled out the bottle. I said, "Hold this bottle, do your pose, and I'll take a picture of you. I'm gonna put it up on my story, and you're gonna go famous." And the guy said, "Okay, sure, I'll do it." And that's what I've been doing for a lot of people that are, that you may see on here. I'll just walk up to them and be like, "Hey, do you want to pose with my bottle?" And then they'll pose with it, put it up. And, you gotta, you got to show the culture. If the culture is good around your business, then why wouldn't people follow the vision and buy from you?
So what's the next steps for you?
Well, the
SayChai.
next steps would be, number one thing would be figure out this shelf life issue, because I can't sell at the same three locations where I'm selling at for any longer. It's not a sustainable business model, right? So number one thing is I need to increase my shelf life. Once my shelf life has been increased, then I can, focus on getting as many retail locations on board with the vision for SayChai. And only when I can do that can I really focus on the marketing and run bigger campaigns to get more brand awareness and tell people that, hey, your Circle K across the road is selling SayChai, right? Rather than walking like 2 kilometers over, plus spending $6 on milk tea, which may not be the best, buy some quality milk tea from this Circle K for half the price, you can say, right? Easy said than done, to be honest.
What's the hard part in your mind?
Oh, I'm no scientist. That's the hard part.
Okay, so this is shelf life, but the marketing part, it seems like things are going really well with the marketing.
Marketing?
And
Oh,
adoption.
marketing is easy. Yeah, for me, it's easy, right? I had a marketing company for a year, and then every time me and my partner were marketing this restaurant, and they had a lineup every day after we started marketing them. They had a lineup
What
going
show was that?
outside. And then the owner hits us up. He's like, Hamza, you guys brought so much traction to our store that you guys brought us a 30% increase in our store revenues. I said, amazing. That's phenomenal. A week later, he gives us a call. He said, he was in a corporate area, right? He gave me a call. He said, Hamza, a lot of corporate business people were looking at the lineups at our store every day, and now 3 of them want to be franchisees for our brand. And now they're making a transaction and they're opening up their store in a couple of months. And what occurred to me is I said, if I can just copy and paste the same strategy and just, get into the groove of marketing again, why can't I do the same again for SayChai, right? Initially, it was kind of slow. Actually, initially, a lot of the sales came from my own marketing, right? Then it started coming over from organic social media tools. And then for marketing in particular, I'm going to introduce a more robust marketing campaign. So it's like where if Sharky's buying so many products from me, I'm going to give him more rewards so he can save more on the future products he buys from me, so he can keep coming back to me, so I can trap him in a addiction of SayChai, you can call it, right? So there's so much potential, but the thing is, without shelf life and without having that high profitable yield in the market, you really can't do anything. All these things can just be a dream. So number one priority is shelf life, fix the shelf life, bang your head on a brick wall 5 more times, bruise it up a bit more. And then once the brick wall is broken down, we can move forward and then focus on marketing and getting the product out there as soon as possible. The more we get it out there, the better it is for me, the better it is for building business, and the better it is to introduce many more products, such as those.
Do you have an idea of what's your break-even mark? How many units you have to sell?
Yeah.
How many stores?
Yeah. So to remain profitable, I would need to sell over 1,000 bottles per day, right? Meaning, if I want to be productive, this is 10%. No, this is 1% productivity, right? If I want to be 1% productive for the day, I got to sell at least 1,000 bottles per day, right?
How many stores would that be?
Well, around
stores or restaurants? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, basically. So I would say around, if we can increase our shelf life, then probably around 50 to 100 stores per day, right? And yeah, it's tough. I'm sorry, I can't hear you here.
You're mute, Nagin. Try stopping and then starting your audio again. There's some type of disconnection. No, we still can't hear you.
Oh no!
Refresh the page. Sounds like something very important that she's trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so 50 to 100 stores. to hit 1,000 mark? And then what's your goal? Do you have do you set a goal, a certain period, a certain amount?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. It's finally working.
You're back.
I apologize. I don't know what happened there. But I was saying 1,000 bottles a day seems like a lot, but from what I'm hearing, your business seems to be very scalable. So, and the fact that you're not limited to Toronto per se for distribution, that alone means that you can certainly hit that mark in the long run. Yes, that's what I wanted to say. So please continue with the point you were making.
So Sharky, I'm not sure if this is going to answer your question, but I have a chart here. I'm not going to show it to you guys because I think it is confidential information. But
you can give us the gist of it.
Yeah, basically. But for me to be a profitable business in the tens of millions of dollars, which is the goal, right? To have Ontario 100% maximized, right? And being 100% productive in business in Ontario, I will need to sell a big number of 500,000 bottles per year to achieve that milestone, right? Which is 500,000. It's a big number, but it's not as big as what other companies are pulling in, right? Okay. But it's like you go one by one, right? Once I hit the first 100, it was easier to hit the 200 mark, and then easier to hit 300, 400 than 1,000, right? Which is, it takes time. If I want to sell 500,000 per year, it's not going to happen this year, most likely, unless I really grind and keep it sustainable, that fast growth. But in the long run, if I can reach that 500,000 mark, right, in the next 10 years, that would be on par with what a bigger brand like Starbucks or Tim Hortons would be pulling in on a yearly basis, right? So the vision has to be big.
Now that 500,000 that you're talking about, it is considering, maybe this is a simple question, but it's considering all the costs per year, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got a couple of questions here. So Steph, say, hey, just a question. How do you compete with more established brands?
Well, one way to look at it is I'm pretty sure they don't care about a small person in the market right now, right? Because right now the business is really frugal, right? As different issues come up, who knows if I'll be in business in 2022? We can be optimistic, but the uncertainties are high. So for me personally, I have to focus on preparing my product and getting it 100% market viable, so a great product can be sold to the market and people can enjoy it, right? So it's like if I get scared that maybe Starbucks may come down and compete with me, most likely they're not, because they're an established brand. And I think I brought up this point earlier. After a certain point, if they do want to compete with me, then they would either buy me out or they may have to go the extra mile and catch up with what I'm doing after a while. So I'm not sure if that answered your question, right?
So how do you get notice if Starbucks has all this money and brand recognition? How do you get notice? Or it's pretty much people just come in, and why are people buying it? Are they buying it because it's milk tea?
Like the consumer?
The consumer, yeah, the end consumer. So yeah, so so I mean, related to what Steph's question is that companies like Starbucks or Coke has all this money to advertising, so people know the brand exists, right? So even though they're not doing milk tea, how do you get your brand to stand out when a consumer comes in and they chooses your?
I think I took that question wrong. So why would someone buy from SayChai? That's a good question, right? Why would they? Number one thing is the vision has to be well outlined for other people to see what I'm chasing, right? Which is redefining what chai can be and trying different things, right, in life, which is like the underlying message of SayChai, you can call it, right, which is like take risks, right, enjoy life, right, something really something marketing coming from you right now, right. Uh, so why would someone buy it? Because it is at an easily accessible area, right, for them to buy it at a cost effective price, right? And they're looking for something quality every time they buy a product, such as a thing. Because let me tell you one thing: bigger brands such as let's say the milk tea business, or if you go to Starbucks for a nice coffee right now, most of the time it's not going to be 100%. It's not going to be up to the quality that you would expect a bigger brand to do. So from that point, if someone is willing to take the risk and say, "Hey, this brand looks amazing. Why not I give it a shot?" and all the P's and Q's match or cross, then why wouldn't they buy it again and again and again, right? A couple of comments I have received in the past is that uh, a couple of people would choose my product over the mainstream chai time places, right? Because the quality is 100% every time they buy it, right? So I think that's one of the main competitive touches you have choosing a smaller company over a bigger company, right?
Right. It's about that secret recipe, which I
Basically.
hope you have on a Word document stored in a hard drive, locked and put away for in a safe spot. So, okay, thank you so much for joining us. Sharky, we're running a little bit over the hour.
One more
There's
question.
one more question on Facebook, I believe, and that is, what is your target market? The
My target market.
demographics and whether it's age, range of age, who are you trying to target?
I'm not sure if you guys are trying to steal my business here, but by taking everything over, but I'll tell you. I would say my target market is young adults, right? Because young adults are more prone to trying out new ideas, and they're not as conservative as older audiences are, right? So the age group I would say is 18 or even 16 if you want to go lower, because I have had a lot of 16-year-olds buy the product from me. 16 all the way over to the age of 30, right? Because these people are more likely to buy a product and they're more willing to accept changes in the market. And number three is a lot of young people, from my experience, they don't typically resonate with the bigger brands out there anymore. You can call it not the best word to say, but they typically want to try something different and rep that more than what they rep on this brand. I'm not sure what the slang definition for rep is, or it's represent. But that's my target audience. One funny thing is that the older Asian community is also trying the Uti product. So 50-year-olds, 40 to 60, for older Asian women, right? Either they came from Eastern Asia into Canada as an immigrant, or they were born here and they just like the quality over other brands. That's the feedback I've heard from all these different people. So
yeah, older Asian woman. That's why I like it, right? That's why I like it so much. Right up my alley. I like all these old.
hey, Shark, it's 2021. Anything is possible. You know, I'm not one to judge here.
Okay, so Faizan, he asked that question, and I think the point he's trying to get is he's asking the difference between who you thought your customers were and who's actually buying the product, and was that the same? And the second question he asked was, as a South Asian, our perception is chai is to be served piping hot. In a way, it's a complete 180-degree turn from that perception to have chai cold. Is it difficult to change the consumer behavior? How did you manage to do it, if at all?
Well, for the first question, I would say the target audience, it changed quite a lot initially. And I'll tie in the second question now too, because when I brought up the idea of SayChai to a couple of my friends who are South Asian as well too, right? Uh, they told me, especially the ones that were born and raised in South Asia, either India or Pakistan or Sri Lanka or Bangladesh, they said there's a saying that cold chai is a poison, which is, oh my God, I'm out of business already, right? So I had to change my target from, from the South Asian to Eastern Asian community and broaden it up a bit more uh, to anyone that was born in Canada, right? In particular, Canada or the Western world, from the age of 16 to 30. Because number one thing is, I knew younger people are willing to try out different things. And number two is, Canadians in particular, they're more open to trying different things, and they like to start new trends, compared to more conservative cultures like in Pakistan or anywhere else in the world where they have more conservative values, right? So my niche audience has been the same, right? Because I kept it pretty vague. And I'm really happy that it kept it really vague because it gave me an opportunity to target everyone. With those avatar posts that you saw, it can target the avatar fan base who might be quote unquote nerds, right? With the guy that's really dressed really nice, taking a picture with the bottle of SayChai, streetwear type funky guys, right? And dot, 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 right? And for the second question, for the South Asian one, I typically, other than that experience of a couple of people saying that cold chai is poison, I really didn't care, to be honest, right? I was like, I don't care if the South Asian community likes my product or not, right? I'm doing this product for my community here in Canada who represent the same type of beliefs as I do, right? Because the belief structure and what's socially acceptable is way different than what a person immigrating to Canada would be like, right? My parents have a totally different belief structure and willingness to try different things compared to me, right? And I do think that comes into culture. So it's like there's like a trade-off, right? I don't think it's going to be particularly successful in the South Asian community because of those comments I've heard, right? But then again, the other day I was in the South Asian group in Pakistan, a Pakistani group, and I put up the idea, and a lot of young people in Pakistan in particular, other than a few people, were saying, damn, cold chai, I should probably try that too, right? So it's, yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yes, certainly. So you have your fan base, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I have my fan base, right?
Good.
So,
Okay.
so just a couple of feedbacks from my perspective. Number one is that I feel that because of the adoption of bubble tea, to me, I associate with bubble tea. It tastes just like bubble tea, but different, which I like. I like certain bubble tea, and that's why I like it. So I think it's easier for people to adopt, even though chai is considered hot and whatnot. I just associate it not with chai, but I associate it with bubble tea. That's number one. And number two is that you're saying that the majority, and this is a comment by Steph as well. So you say that the majority of people, your target is about 16 or younger, right? So he say it has a very Uncle Iron, is it iron or something feel to it? I'm not sure what that's reference to, or the typo, or is reference to something. So it has a kind of older feel to it. Have you thought about changing the packaging to make it more appealing? Like for me, when I saw it, I think like when I taste it, I associate with bubble tea. But the packaging doesn't, and the advertising doesn't associate with bubble tea. Right? Have you thought about the packaging, or what's your perspective and feedback on the packaging?
Yeah, I'm really conflicted at the moment, right? Because like I told you about the sweetness of the product as well too, right? A lot of people like the packaging. Then some people are saying, hey, maybe you should market it more as a bubble tea, right? Which is understandable. Both points are understandable. What I've experienced so far is that from people that I've talked to going into stores and seeing holding my product and ask them, why'd you pick up my product when you don't even know what my product is, right? The comment I've gotten is that when you walk by, your product is really eye-catching, right? They said it's a bottle with a simple logo, and you just want to have a look at it and give it a try. So in the branding perspective, the simple packaging, it gives a more premium feel to it, right? Because I did introduce the topic of changing the packaging with a couple of customers too. When I delivered it to them, I said, my apologies for the terrible packaging. Why don't you recommend to me how I should improve the packaging? They said, why do you want to improve the packaging? Right? Then a couple of people, they say, oh, if it may be a better essence if you change it to bubble tea. I don't know. I really don't know. I guess we'll find out as time progresses, as more people jump on the bandwagon, right?
We could do a poll. And then on Instagram see people's feel to it.
And Sharky, they were referring to the uncle character from the Avatar anime. So.
Okay.
The Avatar? No? Okay, it
Yeah.
doesn't ring.
Sharky, you gotta start watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. Best show out there. I still watch it. At night time, when I'm in the mood, I'll just pull up an episode and start watching the whole season over and over again.
We should have an Avatar marathon someday.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll host it if you want.
Right. I'll be there. Okay. Any more questions from our Facebook fans, Facebook group? Not that I can see. All right. Sharky, how do you feel?
I feel like having a SayChai.
Me too.
My supplies are gone.
I'll give you my feedback once I get a chance to try it out.
There you go. There's Uncle Iro. How you pronounce it? Iro? Iro. Okay, there you go. There he is.
Yeah. He's a pretty nice person, you know. I think we all need to encompass a little bit more of Uncle Iro in ourselves, you know.
Was that the inspiration?
Inspiration. It was inspiration. I said, I want to make Uncle Iro proud in my life, you know. So I have to make a good tea business, right? Yeah. Only Avatar fans will understand this. I wanna turn chai into the best chai of Toronto, just like how we turned his tea into the best tea of Boston Say. That's my closing remark right there. That's a vision, you know.
Great, love it. Hamza, thank you so much for being on this call with us and taking the time out of your busy day to meet up and tell us all the secrets of your business and how you started out this great chai tea. So thank you very much. Sharky, thank you for hosting the event. And Toronto entrepreneurs, we will see you next Wednesday.
All right. See you, everyone. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you so much.